To start with, Paul Trematiti has a little presentation he'd like to give. When we found out you were retiring, Paul called me up and he said, I heard you were going to say something. I said, yes. And he said, I'd like to do my little act. I said, that's fine.
He's been doing it for over 20 minutes.
And he said, do you think it'd be appropriate if I'm funny? And I said, I think it's appropriate. I think it's impossible, but I think it's appropriate. So, Paul Trematiti.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't need the mic, I'm loud enough. First and foremost, let me say this. There's a lot of people in this room that are a hell of a lot more qualified and quite honestly deserving more than me to speak on Chief Terpak's behalf. But I want everybody to know I am equally as appreciative of the man. And I want to thank you guys for letting me do this today. Everyone knows, on the job knows what a great fireman, what a great chief he is at fires, and any incident you put in the man's lap. But I want to speak to the man's character. About 12 years ago, I was having a tough time of life. It wasn't drugs, it wasn't alcohol, it was just life. I couldn't get out of my own way. And I felt I had nowhere to go. And had a lot of health problems, a lot of family problems, a lot of personal problems. I was at headquarters upstairs on my duty, and Chief Terpak was there. He was a deputy, but he was waiting to become, get a spot on one of his own group. And the important part of the story is I didn't know him very well, he didn't know me very well. But you gotta picture this. I'm like, I gotta tell somebody. I didn't know him well, but what I knew about the man, I knew he was a gentleman, I knew he was understanding, and I knew he'd be approachable. The number one thing you want in someone, you have a problem. So I'm pacing outside his office, and I'm trying to get his attention, but he was reading a report, I'm sure, just in that Terpak zone. I'm looking down the hallway. I'm hoping like no one's watching this sideshow taking place, and finally like I'm going in. So he finally looks up, I go, Chief, you got a minute? Yeah, what's up, Paul? And I promise you, I didn't get 2 feet inside the door, and I lost it. I call it like my Good Will Hunting moment, that scene where it just breaks down. And so I said, Chief, I remember saying, I said, Chief, listen, I know there's a chain of command, I understand, I get it. But look at the shape of me, I think you can tell the last thing I heard about I was getting in trouble. And I said that. Well, now you gotta realize, this could have went either way. If he said, hey, who's your captain? What group you on? Like, he would have been wrong, but I was going by instincts. And so he was just as cool, calm, and collected as a fire. I remember what he did. Ironically, there was a box of tissues on his desk. He put them in front of me. He went outside the office, and there was one of those 5-gallon water jugs. He filled a little Dixie cup, put it in front of me, and closed the door. He said, what's up, pal? I said, Chief, I told him everything that I just told a bunch of strangers. And I just said, Chief, the wheels are coming off this thing fast, I can put them back on. He sat with me for about half an hour, gave me a pep talk, gave me some great advice, and he just, I didn't know what to do. He said, Paul, I'm coming to be group. And the next thing he said was vital to my career. He goes, my door's always open. When he said that, I'm telling you, whatever it was lifted off my shoulders. I'm like, I got somewhere to go. I'm golden. I'm locked in. And not just him. I got Deputy Chief Terpak. And so I just want to say, sometimes you find a guardian angel when you don't expect it. And I want to thank you, man, for throwing me a lifeline when I needed it most. Chief Terpak, and he knows what's coming. We talked about this before. Let me just set the stage. When you come out of a fire building, there's the deputy and his aide, and they sit off to the back, and they have this big chest, this big suitcase thing, and it's kind of, you don't know what's in it because you get close, and Trito, one of these kind of boxes out in the basketball court, and I call it the magic mystery box. You don't know what's in it. So recently, he was having dinner with us at 1711, and I feel like catching him off guard. I go, Chief, not for nothing, what the fuck is in that briefcase? I did. I said, maybe if I could, I'd catch him off guard, but it didn't work. So he goes, well, Paul, let me tell you, when you're a deputy, all the answers are in there. He goes, don't forget, we're playing with life, we're playing with trouble. He goes, in war, don't forget, we're going to war, and all the answers are in there too. So, not that I didn't believe him, but something about that wasn't sitting right, and I just felt I was just scratching the surface on this thing. So today, I think before he goes, we get to the bottom of it, and this is the new Magic Mystery Briefcase, so I haven't seen it. And what I found out is that although he wasn't lying, he didn't really meet the expectations I had. So fellow B groupers, let me tell you what the hell's going on. We're busting our ass inside that building. He's right. They're playing with life. They're playing with trouble. This what you call going to war? Battleship? Where's Matsuchi? Chief, big guy, you sunk my battleship. You should have done that. Really? Still like slinkies? And this last thing I found, I think if we all found this sooner, we all would have saw it right on the wall. Apparently he's got a new book coming out. He's steering away from the fire service, and he's gearing it towards his retirement. It's called A Deputy Chief's Guide to Scuba Diving. It's available on promotionalprep.com. Now, in closing, let me say this to the Terpak family. As a Jersey City resident, member of the Jersey City Fire Department, I want to thank you for sharing with us for the last 36 years. It's been a privilege and an honor. Chief Joe Denardo and I had this conversation earlier week. We remember you saying, your first meeting with B Group, you said, today I inherited 106 members into my family. I want to say that we're glad to be part of your family, always a part of ours, and on behalf of the firefighters on B Group, thank you for doing all the heavy lifting for us for all these years. We wish you all the best, wish you all the best. And on a personal note, thank you for the love of my heart.
Paul's not using the microphone, I'm not using the microphone. Up back to follow. Trying to read your writing here. First of all, to the Terpak family, especially the women. Mrs. Terpak, Elizabeth, girls, you may not know this, but he's kind of a big deal. And I hope this shows you. I mean, everybody thinks their dad is a big deal, and he's a big deal to you, but he's kind of a big deal.
He's a rock star.
He's a rock star. So like dads tell their kids I'm a big deal, but if he tells you that, you gotta listen to him. You probably won't, but don't roll your eyes while you're watching. Okay. I tried to keep it simple. Chief, from us to you, thank you. Now when Chief Terpak gives a class, he usually opens up with a sentence, and then he breaks it down. So I'm going to do it Chief Terpak style. Well, he usually repeats it too, so I'll say, from us to you, thank you. What does that mean? Who is the us in that sentence? It's a big us. The us in that sentence, anybody who has ever worked with you or under you on B Group, thank you. We thank you for your professionalism, for your knowledge, and your compassion. The other three groups thank you as well for giving them something to shoot for. Anybody who has ever taken classes with you, thanks you. They're better firefighters for it, smarter and safer. The many people you have helped advance in this job, and not just through promotional prep, promotionalprep.com. Thank you. But also by your example. Anybody who wears the uniform owes you a thank you for all the research, networking, hard work, and everything you put into making this job safer and more efficient. They thank you. And last but not least, the people of Jersey City owe you great thanks. They don't even know you, but they owe you thanks for staying true to the oath you made 36 years ago, always putting them first, protecting them and their property, and balancing that oath with getting all of us home safe after the tour. This is a dangerous job. Accidents happen, people get hurt, sometimes worse. But when you work as long as he has, in the positions that he has, and everyone gets home safe, that's no accident. And for that, we say thank you. And I know on your last tour, at 8 o'clock, I'm sure in your mind you were thinking, I got everybody home safe. And for thinking that always, and for that always being on your mind, I'm just going to bring it back to that first sentence. From all of us, thank you.
Use the
Everybody hear
mic.
me okay?
Use the mic.
Can we use the mic? Larry brought the mic. I use the mic. Is this better? No. Is this better?
There you go.
I gotta write stuff down because I get a little mold and I can't remember everything. I think it's important before I start that I recognize, and I think you would join me here, people, members of the department who did not have the opportunity to have a day like today. People who we've lost over the years. And in my 36 years, we lost quite a few people. From line of duty deaths to stress-induced heart attacks and cancer. So many people. Just a few that come to mind. People that have influenced me over the years are people like Danny Tarrant, Louis Simone, Greg Barnes, Marky Lee, Jimmy Woods, Tommy Pulowski, Mike Sadowski, my good friend Kevin Stewart, and of course everybody's buddy Ira. So if you would join me in a round of applause recognizing those people and beyond. I don't know what to say. It's, you try to think about things to say when this day comes, and I had a tough time putting some words together. Paul, you made it a little bit easier. Where are you? I mean, this was outstanding. I would expect nothing less. When I decided to retire about 6 weeks ago, I told a few people that I didn't think this party was necessary. I said, I don't want to put people through the expense, the hassle, the organization. And of course, I immediately got some pushback from family, some friends. There was even a threatening phone call. And I'll tell you about the call. I guess it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I got a call at home from Angelo Mano. And Angelo called me and said, and I quote, he said, if you don't allow us to have this party, he said that he, meaning Angelo, and Jerry Cucchiaro are going to kick my ass. Now, for the record, Angelo Mano cannot kick my ass. Jerry Cucchiaro, on the other hand, I'm a little afraid of. But to try to put this together, I didn't know what to say. And came to me a couple of weeks ago, a good friend of mine, who's going to hopefully be promoted real soon, said to me, he goes, Chief, can you give me any advice? 36 years, do you have anything you can help me that make me a better boss someday? And I said, well, the first thing that comes to mind is, the can statement, right? First Frank, can. Training, education, experience, you can never get enough of that. Jersey City is a very unique city, it's very complex, high rises, mass transit, lightweight. Continue to educate yourself. The second thing I said, which is very dear to my heart, is take care of your family. Now, I said you have two families. You have the family at home, and I'm lucky enough to have my family here today. My mom is here, my dad is here, my brothers are here, sister-in-law is here, my girls are here, my wife is here. I said, but also take care of your firefighting family. I said, whatever it takes. So whatever comes down the pipe, if you're not happy with things, they question the health, safety, and well-being of your people, you question it, you challenge it, if you have to, you defy it. Because it's what we do. Firefighters take care of firefighters. And the third thing I said to him, I said, respect and leadership must be earned. You don't get it by raising your hand after you were promoted. You got to earn that. I said, if you remember those three things, I think you're going to do absolutely great. And with that being said, it's my hope that at my 36 years, I've earned your respect. So all I can really say from the bottom of my heart, it's been my honor, it's been my privilege, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your family. Thank you.
That's all right, I cried too.
Along with your lead, Chief.
Okay. I know Chief Terpak because I came on the job with his brother. Okay? Always a great guy. Always a great guy. I just want to share a poem that I wrote. It's called Firefighter. We rush to put our turnouts on whenever we're called upon. They call us often without a doubt because they know we put the fire out. We risk our lives every day. We never complain about the pay. When we come to work, we do our job, but at contract talks, we always rob. We work hard. We risk our life to save you, your baby, or your wife. We work hard and do other stuff, but people still say that's not enough. We work hard and we always try, what they don't see till one of us dies. We'll save your sister and your brother, a cat, a dog, or someone's mother. Because when duty calls, we have to go. To save life or property, we don't know. We work hard, and it's no game. Fight one fire with us, and you'll feel the same. Because you'll never experience our fear till fire takes someone that's dear. Then you too will see our worth, because firefighters are some of the bravest people on earth.
Okay, now I'm going to order something for you.
The fire scenes that you had, the parties that you had.
One, two, three. But I'd have to say a few words. You know. I usually like to put it down on paper, but I mean, I see all the tears, and so let me first start with a little observation I made. I did have the opportunity to work with the chief here, and even more enjoyment I had the opportunity to be his boss for quite a while. So before I talk about my great respect for this man, which everyone knows I have, I do want to point out two things that are very important to me. Number one, this gift about the deputy's chief guide to scuba diving. Well, let me first say to the deputy chief, first of all, he has to remember how much air he has in his tank when he goes down in the water. And he has to thank the subordinate officer who brought him to the surface. So I just want to bring up that we're ready to canonize him. Here we are, and I want to. But he does owe me for that. And number two, the charges that I brought up with him when he was my chauffeur at Engine 10, after he clobbered the guy at the corner of Communicore and Garfield, they will be on the chief's desk very soon. And I'm a little afraid they may go somewhere now. All right, with that said, that'll be the humorous part, but seriously, I've known Mike for many years. I mean, actually, my brother, former battalion chief, I know he loves to hear that. That's how I met Mike. We became, we dove together, we had a little business together, Mike Blanchard, Jimmy, I, with owning some buildings. I always knew Mike, reputation-wise, as, great officer and great firefighter. I knew them when he was down in Engine 10, I knew him in rescue. But I was on another group, so you don't really build that bond. I mean, you know a guy is good, but you don't really know a guy how good he is until you really work with him. So Mike came as a deputy chief maybe 12, 13 years ago, and he came on the scene, and he came around to all the houses, and the one thing he made clear was, and I always remember it after talk, and I said, oh, Jesus, I mean, I love Mike, but what's he going to do? How's he going to change things here? But the biggest thing to him, as was brought to his force, I remember him saying, everyone goes home safe. That was what was important to him. And the thing I can categorically say this about Mike. In this room here, there's some of the best guys I've ever met in my life, some of the best firefighters. I used to address them as firefighters. That if my family was in a fire, I would hope they would be there. But I'll say this, Mike was one of them, but there is nobody, and I have to say this, nobody I've ever met that gave more to this job 7 days a week than this man. It's no, I mean, there's great men, but Mike didn't do this job he was here. He lived this job. I still see him in the bed down in Bon Air, and we're trying to wake him up, and he's got the Firematic books on him, and I'm saying, can't you leave these books aside? Can't you planning strategies? And that's the kind of man this was. He was always worried about the guys, always concerned about professionalism, and I really never knew anybody like that. That doesn't mean I was always happy. I mean, a couple of times in the afternoon when he'd call up and he'd want a meeting, I'd turn over and I'd say, Jesus Christ, can he leave me alone? And, I know this stuff. But every time we get down, every time we'd have a meeting with him, I mean, it was obvious his concern was brought for, the guys and our professionalism. And I tell you, there really was nobody like him. So anyway, I'll tell you this. I know as you go along, especially as you go up in ranks, you do ruffle some feathers, and I'm sure there's he ruffled some feathers on the way up, and that's just the way it is. But there's nobody in here, nobody that's ever worn this uniform that doesn't have the greatest respect for this man, and anybody that does didn't wear this uniform and certainly didn't go to a fire. But when he leaves here, not everybody is going to have different emotions. I mean, my cousin Paul, he said to me best at my retirement, he goes, man, I'm sad to leave you go, but I'm really happy I got your spot. and I know Chief Lipinski over there, he's probably saying, man, I know he's got a tear in his eye, but he's saying, man, tonight he's not going to have a tear in his eye when he's working there. He's got your spot, yes. So that's how it's going to be, but I'll tell you this. There's nobody, and I can say this without a doubt, that ever wore this uniform, that ever was a fireman, fire captain, battalion chief, deputy chief, that nobody's ever going to watch him walk out the door and not have the greatest respect for what this man has done. Thank you very much.
My turn. Somebody say uh-oh.
First and foremost, Mom Terpak, I want to thank you for sharing this wonderful man with us. I tell you, you did an excellent job. I would like to thank the Terpak family as well. What can I say? All I can say is thank you. So when I first came on this job, the first place I went to was Engine 10. Being a young kid, Mike took me under his wing. And from then on, my career just soared. He took me under his wing. He taught me how to fight fires. He taught me how to study. And because of his guidance and his love for me as an individual and our close relationship that we had down there with all the guys that we worked with, I was able to ascend and become the chief of the department. And I owe a lot to this man here for that. And I just wanted to thank you, I'll let you know how much I love you, because I never would have been able to become the person and achieve the things that I've done in this job without your guidance. By coming here and coming on this job and having you in the beginning, he set the tone for me and my career. And without him, my success would never have gotten as high as it did. Mike, I love you. I wish you the best. I'm happy that you decided to leave the stress, because we've had a lot of conversations. And though, you have that love for the job, that stress does get to you, no matter how much you love it, because you have that stress because of the passion that you have. Not only for the job, but for the people on the job. And you were there for everybody. You taught so many people. Man, I just want to thank you and let you know I love you. Thank you.
Attention, hello, pension.
I'll be short.
You are.
Not as tall as you, but I'll be short. All right, first off, enough with the crying and the bullshit, all right? I know where the bodies are buried. I just do want to say, my girls over here, they were on my hip from the time they were born, and I have age pictures in my office, and I need a copy of the one we took before, probably from Larry. But I do want to say, this guy was so dedicated to this job, and it's just unreal. And I do have to, my claim to fame was not being promoted to chief of department. My claim to fame, personally, was that I beat him on the battalion test. I was 10, he was 11. He filed 5 appeals. And then I studied with him for deputy chief. And he got me there. Him, Jimmy, and Frank. And he was already a deputy chief. And then it came time for the chief of department test. And he let me be chief of department. Because I know there was no way in hell I would beat him on a test. But I just look around the room and I see so many officers, chiefs, captains, that this man had the privilege of tutoring, mentoring, and guiding. And you can stop, don't cry. But listen, I cried too. So, you know, you can be a tough guy and still cry. It's okay. Jimmy was crying yesterday, you know, crying when he retired. Did we have a party for Blanchard? Oh, then next Saturday, right here. But, you know, we are, well, now the class of 81 only has 6 members left. Class of 81, 36 years ago. And this is the cog that turned the engine. I love this guy, I love his family. I rubbed Liz's belly when she was pregnant, before the girls were born, and you know, that's how far back we go. I just want to say, what took you so long? I love you, I wish you the best. The check will be there every month. As long as these guys get home safe and keep paying the pension, we'll be okay. Thank you.
Hey, bear with me, because the worst thing I am is a public speaker, so I really am. I'm going to try to change things up. This guy here, the angel, he looks good. Mike and I go a long way back. Engine 10, ladder 12, 1983. Don't hold it. Oh, okay. I told you I'm not a public speaker. All right? We go back to 1983, engine 10, ladder 12. I was fortunate enough to work with Michael, the firefighter, and in the words of our friend, Eddie Friend, he taught me everything he knows, but not he taught me everything I know, but not everything he knows. That's Eddie Friend, that goes back a long way. Mike not only taught me what it was to be a good fireman, he taught me how to pass the time by pulling pranks in the firehouse. A side of Mike not too many people know. He alone almost drove Chucky a damn good crazy. Whether it was rigging his bed every night so it would fall at 2 o'clock in the morning, or picking up his car, putting it in an alleyway, and then having another fireman from a firehouse call and say, I just saw your car go by. Hold on. That was Mike back then, fun-loving and dedicated to the job. As captains, we didn't work together too much, but every time his name came up, it was positive and always a job well done. Because of Mike's dedication to his job and learning, he moved up the ranks quickly. When I got promoted to BC and Chief Gallagher retired, Mike became my boss. Let me tell you, it's a good thing to know your boss before he becomes your boss. I didn't know it, but some people have developed what they call the Zimmerman rule. And for people who don't know what it is, I'll explain it. You bid a spot you really don't want, knowing that someone else, Jimmy Piro, is leaving. In leaving, you meet your boss at a secret location. In this one, it was Key West. You buy him 3 or 4 margaritas while you explain to him how, for the good of the department, it would be better for you to take Jimmy's spot. And after 3 margaritas, he begins to see your point. And it works. In all seriousness, I can't think of anyone I have worked with who is more professional, level-headed, and just a pleasure to be around. I want to thank Mike for his 30-plus years of friendship, mentoring, and good times. I want to wish him nothing but happiness in the future and look forward to many more martinis in Cape May. And maybe this time you can buy.
Sweet short and sweet.
Chief, it's been a pleasure knowing you. I had a great privilege of watching you work on a fire ground. You were always calm, cool, and collected. I don't know what was going through your mind, but as I started driving you more, I tried to think like you, the best I could. On a personal note, I want to thank you for motivating me for studying for the captain's test. You know, I would always bounce stuff off your chest in the office when we were talking one-on-one. And it's just been a great privilege to know you. I'm going to miss you. And on behalf of all the guys on B Group, gentlemen that helped with the party today, Gil, Larry for coming down and setting up the speaker, Captain Hart, Captain O'Connor, the members of Engine 6 and Latitude for helping setting up the party. I wish you all the best in your retirement. One last thing. We did buy you a gift, but since you retired, 1, 2, 3, you're running out the door on us and won't be here for another 4 or 5 weeks. We got your head shields for every place that you worked as a captain, firefighter, battalion, and deputy. Once it comes in, I'll hand deliver it. If you have it in your house for a couple cocktails, I'll bring it to your house. I wish you the best.
I was explaining to Mrs. Terpak earlier that Mike has been one of my mentors my entire career since I come on a job. When you come on a job, you want to study. This was the man you sought out, and he has helped so many individuals, not only in this department, but it's like the coaching tree, the Belichick coaching tree. His tentacles have touched everyone. Before anyone was doing this, Dennis O'Neill retired, and we were studying, going around the state, and there weren't many people teaching at the time, and we would come back to Mike, and at the end of the day, whoever you went to, you brought it back to Mike, and Mike okayed it, whatever he said. We told him, Mike, you gotta get into business. He said, no, I'm gonna do it, but like everything he does, it had to be the right way, the professional way, and when he did it, it was, and no one had the teaching that he had, and everyone went to Mike, and you know, we all know where that led, but you have been such an influence on so many in this department, so many in this state that he's touched. I mean, you can't imagine the people that attended his courses and his professionalism, his integrity, his character, his ethics, everything he brings to the table. This man is he's the whole package. And I worked him as a firefighter. Not only a lot of you only know him as a chief officer. I worked him as a firefighter when he wore his black hat. And I can tell you something. This individual, he has set the bar so high, like Kenny Drennan was saying, that no one will ever, and I mean that, no one will ever do what this man has done in the state, nationally. He's a legend, he really is. And if I can equate him to football, he's Vince Lombardi of the Jersey City Fire Department. He really is. You don't replace this man. And the city, the citizens, they're losing an unbelievable man. And I thank you, Mike, for everything you did for me personally and everyone. They all said it. Thank you. I love you.
You guys overwhelm me. I don't know what to say. It's a tough day, but it's also a good day. I've talked to my wife over the last few months. This was one of the toughest decisions I've ever made. But we're closing the chapter and opening up a new one, and I hope to be a very, very large book. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Now, before we finish with the last speech, we would, for the last goodwill wish, we would like the Chief of the Department, Chief McGill. He's packing.
I really wasn't going to say anything prepared, but everybody talked about the studying and everything that went on. For my career, I try and learn something from everybody I work with in the officer rank. And for a captain, you know, Eddie Trainer was a big influence on me at the time. Bobby Merlo was good. Then as a battalion chief, I looked up to Kenny Drennan. He was the man, and at the time, Chief Terpak was my deputy. And when I got to the deputy rank, I tried to take every little bit from all those people who influenced me, who I thought was doing the right thing. And of all the deputies I've worked under, not that many, but the one man that I look up to always was Chief Terpak, without a doubt. So I hope I grabbed some of the stuff, the good stuff from him, that I can put out there to the rest of the job and try and do the best that I can. And obviously I'll never be as good as he was, so, but I can always try. And I just want to wish you the best. Thank you.